Beautiful day. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. In this box is one of my original OG amps. This thing has worked non-stop for a better part of a decade. I got to look at it right away. It just showed up. I've got to look at this right away. Because what he described to me was carnage and death and flames and pillars of angels scrooting from the fan hole. And I'm very curious to see what's going on in here. I'm very curious to see what's going on here. Now, according to my wife, I'm not allowed to damage this box. And her logic behind that is well-founded logic. It comes down to the fact that this guy lives in the hardest place in the world to do radio. Let me explain to you why. Because Hawaii costs $1 billion to send anything to. Oh, there I go knocking over my 50 cal rounds. God dang it. This should be a little black box. He always does such a superb packing job. It's heavier than I remember because it's got a transformer in it. Son of a motherfucking son of a god damn it. And I got the Mr. Coffee over there percolating. My good friend in Hawaii, not this guy. Believe it or not, I got more than one friend over there. Actually got a couple dozen. Some super cool cats that live there. Call me up. Now, his handle is Sweetwater. He calls me and goes, "Damn, buddy. I didn't know you were getting into doing stilling." I said, "Well, I'm not really." "You're not?" "No." People gotta remember, I don't really drink. Like, I can count on like one hand the number of people I've drank with in the last 8-9 years. It gets in the way, you guys. Drinking for me, and I'm not saying this is true for everybody, but drinking for me gets in the way of doing things. Like, I can't be out here working on stuff. I can't be talking on the phone. I mean, it's got to be a really special occasion for me to have a beer or two. But I've always wanted to learn how to distill my own spirits. And I'm not getting any younger, so there's no time like the present, you know? So he called me up the other day. He helped me out a ton. First off, he taught me that my shit, I'm running it too cold, and he wasn't lying. I turned the heat up on a batch last night, and it pumped itself right on out to Jesus. Mr. J, you always do the best packing jobs, brother. Let's get on in here. So, to my one buddy in Hawaii, Mr. Sweetwater, I want to say thank you. Oh, man. See, over there, it's like living in Britain. You're never too far from the coast, right? So there's always a lot of salt in the air, there's always a lot of moisture. And I have come to expect at this point in my juncture in this business, that usually anything you get from Hawaii is going to have some rust on it. The screws aren't rusted, but the fan guards sure are. Warranty stickers are still intact. Mr. Jason. take all your content or all your contact information. We'll remove it from the amplifier for the sake of video here. Let's get inside it. When I first built these, it was in an answer to the longest held question in radio. The longest held question is, how do I get the cheapest watts for the least amount of work? Okay, or pardon me, how do I get the most amount of watts for the least amount of work? That's the question. And at the time, to get a transformer, a cabinet, 2 transistors, and 100 watts of drive, and have a 1,000-watt box was that answer to that question. Now, since then, these transistors have gone up to $400+ a piece. I'm breaking the seal. The seal has been broken. Oh, this is a 4-pill, I forgot. 4-pill. He said shit come flying out of here. Flames, smoke, and Jesus himself was jumping up and down. So I wonder what happened. So where I was going with that is, thank you for the help, Mr. Sweetwater. I appreciate it. I learned a lot from you, as always. Whoa. 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 Oh. I say we found our burn problem. See, hardly nobody uses those bricks no more. These are a little bit hard to find. Oh. I might have to go digging. Or we might have to build you a better part. What you think? Let me give you some quick back history here. So, what I meant by my previous couple of statements was this. When I built this, we were having a hard time getting a good transistor. We had the DEI component, and we didn't know, but we had a sneaking suspicion that the DEIs were getting relabeled as PP100s. So we had those two options, but the DEI wasn't a reliable component. Guys were building with them because they didn't have anything else. I mean, this is a different time. We're talking 8 years ago now, whatever it was. It's been at least 7, 8 years ago now that I built this, I do believe. Could be mistaken, could be off by a year or two. But at the time, the main motivation behind these kind of parts was the only reliable transistor we had at the time was the Toshiba, okay? The guys in China, they were doing their best. They were trying to come along. And they continually kept refining their product to make it better and better to what we enjoy today. But in the interim, there was a lot of blown up boxes and there was no good components. See, at the time there was this transitional period that was taking place. Believe it or not, back in the day, RF Parts was selling to all the major manufacturers of the amp world reduced costs. So he was giving them a price break. Hey man, you call up and you order 300 transistors, I'll give them to you instead of, at the time, $25 a piece, I'll sell them to you at 15 because I'm only into them for 10, kind of thing, if you buy in bulk. Well, he just put a stop to that because he started running out. He went from having tens of thousands of those transistors to thousands. And so the price on the Toshiba went from $25 to $35 to $45 to $55 to $75 a piece within 1 year. And so everybody was scrambling trying to find some kind of replacement. If you looked at the overall cost to build, let's say, an 8-pill with Toshibas at that time, all of a sudden, an 8-pill base, all of a sudden this stuff here becomes cheaper. Okay? These transistors you were able to pick up for like $15 or $25 a piece, I think. It's been so long ago since I bought these. These 50-volt transistors were cheap because nobody was building with them, so there was a large surplus of them on the market. Well, I went out and bought a whole bunch at that price point, and very quickly went on to working with the LDMOS components, because even at the $75 a piece price level of the Toshiba, made the LDMOS a single transistor 50-volt LDMOS amplifier at $1,200 base unit price. You know, it made it at, 60 cents a watt, versus at the Toshiba price for a $1,500 box was $2,300. The price per watt was $1 and something per watt versus 75 cents a watt. So that's why these things got developed and built. Now, the RF community completely quit supporting this 50-volt device. Done. And these 50-volt transistors have gotten really expensive. So this isn't even an economical way about going about making power anymore. It's just not. But like I said, I built this for a different time and for a different price point. Now, I've got just a handful of these transistors left, like I think maybe like a dozen. And the reason I hold on to them is because I got about a dozen of these out there floating around in the universe. And when they go down, I want to be able to tell my guys, oh yeah, man, hey, I got you here. We'll get you squared away. I thank God that I don't think any of the transistors were harmed in this, but we won't know until we put a new bridge rectifier in it. You go forward and you learn more and you get better teachers, and you have more knowledge poured into the vessel that you call your brain. And around here someplace, I've got a box full of bridge rectifiers. Now, don't ask me where that's at. I just found it easier. I found an upgraded component. This has got a 50-volt, quote, or 50 amp, 1,000-volt rectifier in it. Now, we all know that those metal-cased, submerged epoxied bridge rectifiers, they ain't all that in a bag of dicks. They're not. If we're lucky, it's 25 amps, and if we're lucky, it's 500 volts. But I'm going to give it an upgrade. We're going to go to a 100-volt, 100 amp submerged epoxy-based thing, and it's going to be a little bit wider. It's going to take up a little bit more space, but it'll give us a little bit more operational headroom. Got to remember, this thing has been running flawlessly for a better part of a decade, this little box. So there's no reason to go in here and change a whole lot. There's a couple little caps that I want to go in here and replace that to me are just a little bit too small, like these. Like when I built this was groundbreaking tech at the time, and there was no real universal standard. We go forward about another 7-8 years of knowledge. I sit here and I look at this and I go, well, I want to change this cap and that cap, and I want to load test these two electrolytics, and there's just a couple little things, like I want to change out the fans and put new fan guards on it and stuff while it's here. So that's what we're going to do. Instead of me spending half the day digging around for the part, I got on Amazon and I bought 10 of the parts I need for $10, and they'll be here tomorrow. So on that note, this is where this is going to sit. This is what this is happening with this one. And I'm going to go on to another project. We'll see you tomorrow. This is back when things were cheap. I miss these days. Parts are cheap. Stuff was cheap. Having a discussion today about how much the cost of everything has gone up. So he wanted green. We hooked him up with green. We replaced this red LED with green for the operate standby. We put green LEDs on the inside because he wanted green fans. Well, it had those old, for a while I built with those, we jokingly call them Never Cools. because they spin so slow they never moved hardly any air. Well, they had blue or red fans or something or other on them. I don't even freaking remember. I cut those off, removed them, threw them away, replaced them with 2 brand new Sun-On fans that'll actually move enough air to keep this thing really stupid cool. Now, it's as old as it is. I mean, we're talking this thing is 5 or 6, 7 years old or whatever it is at this point. This is what quit. This little 50 amp, supposedly 1000 volt. I wouldn't put 1000 volts through this. I'd consider this 50 volt rectifier. We very clearly see where it caught on fire over here. Let the Magic Pixies out. What we replaced that with was a 100 amp bridge that is actually truly rated for around 1000 volts. And then we had to modify. We had to create a heatsink saddle. So there's a piece of angled aluminum that attaches to the bottom of this rectifier, and then that bolts to the heatsink. So it's got a way to cool itself. We had to flip-flop the leads on the power supply wires. And then we went through and I changed out some of the caps that were in here. These 2 caps, or this cap here, was popped. Went ahead and replaced it with 2, so we doubled its actual voltage rating, and did the same thing over here. Added some green LEDs to it and retuned it. And the end result on this thing is, well, it's always impressive. These 4 transistor units are always impressive. So that's 1,000 watt slug in peak, 1,000 in average, and a 5 watt slug in reverse. Then over here on the Speckmann analyzer, we're going from 0 megahertz all the way to 264 megahertz, and where reference line is at 0 down to a negative 50. So if it's putting off shit, we're gonna see it. So needless to say, we're good. Now I got a couple more of these I gotta fix. I got a 4-pill I gotta fix. I got an 8-pill, it's back here, that's gotta get redone. Yes, the same one that was to Stickman. And the guy wants to have it fully restored as well. Let's see, then I think I got a 6-pill version of this I've got to go through also. I built a lot of these. And they're nothing more than a bipolar 50 volt transistor. The problem is that transistor is now stupid expensive. I mean, there's $2,000 plus worth of transistors in this amplifier. That's why I was really happy to see when I put it into operation. So first off, let's turn on the derail striker. Hello. I'm gonna put about 100 watts peak into it, right? Remember, this is just a little old 4-pill. Hello. Goodbye. Hello, goodbye. Hello, goodbye. Hello, goodbye. So we're making that thing just disappear. Pew, off the scale. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's zip up here real quick and get this out of the way. It's a 5 watt slug in reverse between the striker. Hello, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, hello. Hello. Stupid low input SWR. Hello. Banging that thing on the stop peg pretty good. Let's take that to 2x. So now when that needle goes fully over to the right in the corner, that's roughly around 2,000 watts. Hello. Making a nice solid 2,000 peak out of it. So let's come over here. And as a guy very comically said today on one of my YouTube videos, Splatterbox. Nope, not the case. That's a radio. Here's the amplifier. 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. Hello. So even underneath modulation, we're still looking at 30 to 35 dBMs down, or dBm from principal. Not Splatterbox. Not at all. So we're maintaining our about 10 kcs worth occupation maximum width. let's get the lid on this thing and let's wrap this up. Kind of interested to see what this looks like with the fans backlit green. Let's see how it turned out. Now, the fans are just a scooch louder than the other ones, but I will sacrifice just a little bit of fan volume for life out of the equipment any day of the week. I think that turned out just beautiful myself. I dig it. I really do. Hello, 1 2 1 2. Hello, audio, 1 2 1 2. Hello, audio, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. I'm happy. And this thing will go on to continue raising hell around its neck of the woods where it belongs. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of nice to get back up inside this old girl. I'm telling you, man, these transistors really kicked ass that were in this thing. And the only thing that made them even worth fiddly farting around with was, at the time, the DEI and the Toshiba issue. And now we've got the HGs, so tomato. This used to have a part number on it. An actual amp build number. I don't know where that got off to, but this isn't me. Somebody else added this. This is me. This is me. And the paint on this was really nice. It's a shame it got so scuffed up over the years, but the face of it, still in relatively good condition, but 200-ish plus watt radio. 200-ish or 2000-ish plus amplifier out of a 4-pill. It runs on 50 volts. Floats at about 61, and then when you modulate it, it drops down to about 50.1, so close enough. Unregulated supply, of course. I had these transformers specifically spec'd for me for these transistors. I just need to work on this, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Well, gentlemen, my name is BBI, and with a shadow of doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. Come check us out, www.bbiamps.com. Come find me on the Facebook group, BBI Amps, the group. 3,000 or 4,000 of us in there now. Just bumbling along, answering questions as best we can. Appreciate you guys all tuning in to follow along with the little saga. Remember, if you're not subscribed, take a minute. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure to smash the bell, and you can come follow along with all the crazy shit we do. Gentlemen, I'll see you. Have a good day.